If you are interested in starting your own podcast, we use Buzzsprout because it is simple and easy to use. Buzzsprout can get your show listed on every major platform while giving you the resources for a great podcast website, audio players that can drop into other websites, detailed analytics to see how people are listening to your podcast, and tools to promote your episodes. Podcasting isn't hard when you have the right partners, and that is why over 100,000 podcasters are already subscribed to Buzzsprout to get their message out to the world. Following the link in our episode descriptions lets Buzzsprout know that we sent you. So in return, you will receive a $20 Amazon gift card from Buzzsprout while signing up for a paid plan. Most importantly, every subscription through our link is always appreciated and helps support our show so we can continue delivering the quality content that you guys listen to. That being said, back to the show.
Hello, and welcome to Comic Book Junkies.
It's Burger,
It's Joe.
and it's back. It's the Friday night hang. Y'all don't know because y'all listening on Wednesday, I'm sure. But this is another Friday session where we're like, yo, we're going to be two ships passing in the night in the next week. I'm going soon, and then I'm going to be coming. He's going to be going. There ain't no time to record. So, you know what? We're busting her out right now. Kind of on the spot, I guess.
Yeah, we're busting her out right now.
Busting her out right as we speak.
But yeah, we work really hard, so we're taking vacations separately. But we do got a cool vacation coming up later this year, but we'll
A combined one.
later.
Yeah, okay, so he's just going to leave it there, and I'm going to put it here. We've got a few topics again for you. This is kind of a little bit off the dome. I'm not going to lie, I'd be searching around trying to find good topics because I've, as a podcast with over 100 episodes already, it's like we've talked about a lot of different things. So I was able to source some ideas and therefore 3 topics that we kind of got. If we get to them all, we get to them all. If we don't, we don't. I'm going to be looking a little bit this way. So let's start it here. How about which comic book characters have the best covers like of all time? Like we're talking like through the run, through any appearance, like every character has a cover, but like who consistently has bangers? Like who has the most iconic stuff, do you think? Because there's so many good characters with great covers, and I feel like Batman and Spider-Man are obviously kind of front runners for that because they have a lot of banger covers. I mean, especially Batman with all the different evolutions of the character and a bunch of different styles that you could draw him in. But I mean, I don't know, the FF, because the Fantastic Four got some crazy stuff. And then, like, from my personal opinion, regardless of, like, I know you're not the biggest fan of the character, but there's something about early Thor covers. Thor does have some banger covers, I'm not going to lie. That's initially what drew me to the character in the first place when I first started collecting. But, like, do you have someone who's, like, not some of, like, those main heavy hitters that you think has, like, consistent bangers?
Interestingly enough, like I have like a definitive character that has the best covers, but there's a few that come to mind. So to your point, I actually thought about Thor because Jack Kirby does a lot of good work on Thor. Captain America was another one I thought of. There's a lot of great Steranko covers. And then
True.
honestly, even prior to that, like before comics
Kirby.
were even popular, like those Schomburg covers or whatever. So, I mean, Captain America's got a history of like classic covers. I thought about the X-Men as a group. Again, a lot more Steranko stuff, but you got some Cockrum covers, you got some Byrne covers in that run. So a lot of good stuff there too. But I mean, honestly, like everything aside, it is Spider-Man and Batman because Batman's got all the cool Neil Adams covers, and then even some early stuff is kind of cool, but you got to give it to Spider-Man. You really do. When I was thinking about my favorite comic covers of all time, it's Spider-Man. It starts with Ditko, it goes to Romita Sr., and it seems like the first 100 issues are all first appearances or iconic covers. So it's Spider-Man, but you could argue a lot. I would even throw Incredible Hulk in the mix. There's a lot of cool covers for him and some for Wolverine, but like the first 10 issues of Hulk are pretty cool as far as just like standalone covers.
Yeah. And you know what? I mean, this is also kind of like a personal pick, but the Flash, both in the Golden Age with like the Jay Garrett covers, especially like the Black Canary first appearance with the dinosaur, harder than a mug. But then specifically for me, even like the Silver Age books, like some of them are kind of weird, but like I mean, I don't know. I feel like the Flash covers are pretty unique relative to their time in a way, like just the way that they look, I guess. But there's like a lot of bangers there too. Like I think it's just because they're different. Like think about like the Gorilla Grodd cover. Like it goes hard, but it's also like bright pink and the Pied Piper's all weird, but like there's just a dude stealing money. You got Flash 123, that's an iconic cover if you want to go with something more popular, you know. But even like Flash 110, the Wally West cover, I just find those so cool. Like the way he's spinning it around in a tornado. There's like a dude with a sombrero on there. Hard. I like the elongated man cover, the way he's wrapping around a tree. Like there's a lot of cool stuff in my opinion. The Abracadabra cover where his suit's like deflating when he's gone. That's sick. But once again, it's kind of a homer pick. But I feel like it's not like more so in the mainstream taste, like you said, where there's like a lot of like classic covers and classic cover artists, but just kind of like what I feel is kind of like a unique look and feel in the Flash books and their covers. I don't know, especially like when you go back to the showcase stuff with the one where the pirate missile's chasing him, as well as I do like the hourglass cover, stuff like that. I don't know.
Flash is a good one too. I even thought about the Jay Garrett cover. Like Thor, Flash, that's your kind of lane, but I really do appreciate the covers that have come out of those runs.
Yeah. And, you know, kind of going off of that, why don't we go into our second topic already? Because I feel like we said what needed to be said there. Very
Well,
similar.
one thing I'll say about Spider-Man too, like or
Yeah.
Hulk, you got the Todd McFarlane covers too.
Well,
Like
I mean, yeah,
when I'm
characters
thinking
like
about
that.
like classic covers over a title, I mean like you can go as far back as like those early Captain America covers, and you can even go as far as like modern. You know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah.
so much history in comics, like 80 plus years of like really cool covers. I mean,
It is tough to settle on one, but you kind of know who it is, you know. But there's a lot that are like really close, and I think that all of them that we mentioned are pretty good contenders. But I mean,
real
man, you ain't
quick
touching
before
Batman.
before we go to the next topic.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've already discussed it in another episode, but for those who haven't listened, favorite cover that's not a first appearance.
What is it? Journey to Mystery 89, the classic Thor cover, and Origin issue by Kirby.
That one's pretty cool. What do you think that one's better than issue 4 of Silver Surfer, that Thor Silver Surfer cover?
I like it better.
For sure.
I don't know. There's just something. It's real simple, but it's clean. It's classic. Does a lot without doing too much. How about
Well,
you?
it's a two-way tie probably between that Dead Man Neil Adams cover where he's on the front and there's those like green like faces behind him, or the that Hulk cover where he's fighting the Inhumans. The Inhumans aren't on the cover, but he's holding up like the Incredible Hulk header.
The annual?
Yep.
Sick. Yeah, those are great covers. I think that is what we settled on last time too, but there you go, guys. There's a refresh, just in case you didn't know. We're staying 10 toes down on that one. But to go back into it, favorite covers that are also a first appearance. I went with 3 of them. Do you want to share your list first? Or do you want me to go?
You go first.
All right. So, I mean, there's some like obvious ones I feel. I mean, there's so many covers. I kind of went with a lot of stuff that was in my collection, to be honest with you, but kind of fit the vibe, some different choices. Because, I mean, if we're going like not in my collection, I would definitely shout out Wiz Comics 2 because it's the first appearance of Captain Marvel. It's like its own take on Action 1 because he too is chucking a car, which I do find kind of cool. But as far as like just some cool books in the collection that double as a first app, I do really like House of Secrets 92. Swamp Thing, because I feel like that's just a classic cover. I feel like a lot of books where, I mean, it's a horror book in a way, but it's also technically kind of a superhero book at this point. Not a lot of them are composed in that way, especially with him being treated as like a monster cover. And I mean, it's a really good book through and through. I mean, if you're new here, you know, Joe and I are big on Swamp Thing and that book in specific. I feel like it's pretty damn good. But as far as other books, I got Showcase 20, which is Rip Hunter. I like the cover, but this is also kind of just like a I like dinosaurs pick, because anytime you get a Silver Age cover that's either got like a dinosaur or a gorilla or sometimes even a robot, like those all like speak to like the inner child, and ultimately this is like the comic book medium. So I'm kind of just gonna be like, you know what, screw it, because I mean I don't own one, but Star Spangled War Stories 101, I really like that cover, that first GI robot, because it's got a big ass purple like T-Rex on it. I mean, like it just speaks to me. Like the same way like Boba Fett does, you know what I mean? Like it's the rule of cool.
They should have for Devil Dinosaur did some kind of like Showcase 20 homage.
Yeah, that'd be sick. Devil. Oh shoot, I'm gonna put that on here. Thanks for reminding me. Devil Dinosaur is like an honorable mention before I get to my third one. Devil Dinosaur, great first appearance, great cover. It's cool as hell. Dinosaurs rule, rule of cool.
Kirby too.
Kirby too. I mean, it's bulletproof, dog. You get it for $20 or less. Fuck, do it. This is a running bit, but it's also not a bit because Devil Dinosaur does rule. But back to the list. Brave and the Bold 25, the first appearance of the Suicide Squad. This is very similar to my last pick because it's got like a giant, like what looks like a dinosaur claw coming out at them as a bunch of dudes are like shooting at it, and the chick's like, oh. I mean, first appearance, it's not a book you see as often as you think you would, I guess. Because I mean, like, I feel like you see like a fair amount of like first Justice Leagues, and you see just as many of those as you see as Suicide Squads, even though they use Suicide Squad in everything nowadays. You know, I don't ever see people post them or like selling them or anything really. But I feel like it's a sleeper book, even though it is huge in a way. But I don't know. Kind of just because it's cool. Anything with like dinosaurs on. I mean, there's so many choices I could go through here, but we don't got all day, dog. Because like I had my Green Goblin on there. But then when I was thinking about it, I was like, what speaks to me? Because we had to keep it the first appearances here. But I mean, there's just so many great ones. I mean, my list is probably going to change depending on the day. But I mean, I feel like those are pretty consistent. Screw it. I could go all day. Let me stop yapping. What three do you got?
I feel good about my first two, but my third one could change by the day. So my number three is going to be Amazing Spider-Man 300, first Venom, first full
Sure.
Venom.
Some would say it's 298 or 299.
You're right, but I love that cover.
Facts.
Some people consider it a first appearance, so
Some are saying.
yeah, I don't know. What I was thinking about this question, I was thinking about like what covers get like homaged a lot, you know, like what's so iconic that like people just keep redoing it. I thought about
Oh.
Amazing Spider-Man 300. My number two is gonna be Action Comics 1.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, I mean, it's everything, right? It's
It's
the best book
yeah,
ever. Between
sick.
cover, between like content, between like what it stands for in the realm of like comic books in general, being the first real comic book hero. And then my number one of all time, I think, is Amazing Spider-Man 50, the Kingpin cover.
Interesting.
It's stuck with me since I started collecting. I remember at the first place I got a pull, they had one for sale for like 200 and I was like $14, so I couldn't afford it, but I've always thought about that cover. I've always wanted that book. I have that book and it just sends like a powerful message even though
Yeah,
it's so like simple. So and that was kind of helped me decide I'm like between Batman and Spider-Man as to like which character has the best covers. If I'm saying like 50 and 300 are like both like top three for me, like you can't leave Spider-Man out of that number one conversation.
true. I've got two other books that I have as contenders. One that's more for you, and then one that's for both of us. So the one that's more for you is what about Hulk 181?
Yeah, that's up there. Is that Herb Trimp?
You telling me a tramp drew this book? Oh, shit. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's a
mean,
cool cover.
it's a sick cover. It's got the Wendigo. By the way, Sleeper Key. Those things got like sneaky expensive.
Even
By the way.
recently.
Yeah, I bought you one like a decade ago, and now that thing's really appreciated. I knew. Plus, it goes with the Wolverine. Come on now. But then a
Come
book for both of
on.
us, Spider-Man 129, the first Punisher. Pretty cool cover. That's also been homaged.
I got a shout out now that we're talking about shout outs. It's not a first appearance of anything, but every time I look
Okay.
at your collection, I love looking at that Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane issue 1. Love that cover.
Sick cover. Thank
And
you.
then that Wonder Woman 98 always sticks out to me too. There's some
Hell yeah.
books like that are more iconic, but like when you're looking at them in person, they kind of have a pretty big pull. I don't own one personally, but I love that cover with Hulk versus the Thing, Fantastic 412.
Oh, me too.
I
I
didn't
do
even
like
think about
that.
that one. That one's
I look at
sick.
those. I try to see if something flies under the radar. Oh, by the way, if I can make it on vacation or like halfway through, I got a book I might be buying post vacation. I got my eyes set on something that doesn't come up a lot. Just a
That,
sneaker tease.
that's a good segue into our Third topic.
Our mid-year collecting goal check-in. We do this every year, December, January. We give you our collecting goals, what we plan to do, what we hope to get, yada yada. Half the time we never actually achieve our normal goals, but we do something that we like better because we always end up getting something else. I mean, you're pretty good about sticking to your list for the most part, but we always end up with something that we don't expect, and then we're all like jazzed about it. So yeah, we're at the midway point. Let's give a rundown of some of like the cool pickups we've got so far this year. You can go first, my friend.
Dang. We like to fill out a top 9 when the year's all said and done. And I have some books that I could add, but I only really have a top 5 that's concrete at the moment. Depending
Okay.
on how the year ends, there's some books that could be pushed into that top 9, but for now, I want to say I'm about, I mean, 5 out of 9 is a little above 50%, and we're a little
Yeah.
over halfway through the year. So that's
Yeah.
good. But usually every year, the first half is a little heavier than the last half of the year.
Agree.
But I'd like to start with my number 5. That's going to be Owlman,
The
Daredevil
owl.
issue 3. So, not really an iconic cover and kind of an underutilized Daredevil villain. And I say that just because he wasn't really popular in the Daredevil TV show, but as far as like iconic Daredevil villains go, he's one of them. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody would probably put him as a consensus top 3, top 5 villain for
Yeah.
Daredevil. So it was really cool to get that. And it's a yellow costume cover, so that adds a little bit of value, and it's within the first 3 issues of the run, which is cool. So I don't think it's the third appearance of Daredevil, but I mean, it's got to be one of the earlier appearances. Next is Rip Hunter, Showcase 20. I got that with Burger, also referenced earlier in this episode. I mean, like, I couldn't even afford it that day, but because I already blew my comic budget, but I was just like, I can't leave this, like,
It was part of an
the
agreement
city
because I got a
without
book
that
too.
book, So Burger and I both went back to go spend a little extra money
A
to get the
lot
books that
extra.
we that were actually needed the first time around. So it's a pretty clean copy too, honestly.
Cool
Like
book.
there's like 1 or 2 parts of the cover that have like Marvel chipping, even though it's a DC book. But
It's nicer than
otherwise
mine.
there's like not really any creases. The pages are pretty
Yeah.
creamed, off-white. Like it's
Cream.
very sturdy. Like it's pretty firmly attached by both staples.
Texas BBW.
That's right. That's what I
That's how
like.
sturdy.
But
Built like a mechanical bull.
that's what I think about when I buy comics is mechanical bulls in
Yeah, makes sense.
Texas. But yeah, that one's pretty clean for how old it is. Number
Dinosaurs.
3 is gonna go to Daredevil issue 7. So the first red costume for Daredevil.
Yep.
Really cool cover too. I mean, you could arguably put that in some kind of iconic cover list, but it's a book that I've wanted for years and years and years, and the price hasn't really gone down any. So I'm really glad that I kind of started the year off with that book. That was, I think, like a January or a February purchase, probably before my birthday, but really excited to get that one in the collection, considering Daredevil is one of my favorite characters. And it's outside of issue 1, probably one of the best issues to get in that Daredevil run. But my last and final 2, so Invincible issue 1, first Invincible, and half the other characters. This book is overinflated right now, but I also feel like it has like the highest potential in my collection, as crazy as that sounds.
Hmm.
There's a book I have that's probably worth more at the moment. It has a way more iconic character, but I feel like we kind of know what that book is and how quick it's going to appreciate throughout time. But this book, Invincible, I mean, like, I don't even know where it's going to go.
They're scarce too. It's
They're,
like less than like 10K.
yeah, they're super scarce. Like, people that have them don't want to get rid of them. Like, it appeals to like all like ages and demographics, and I don't know, like a part of the times. Some
Yeah.
characters were like popular in the 80s, some characters are popular in the 90s, early 2000s, but like Invincible's really taken off in the 2020s, and I don't know if it's just kind of like strike while the iron's hot, but it's a book that I just don't know where like the height's gonna take me. So super excited that Berger was able to find that book for me for a cheap price, and I was glad that I acted without just like double thinking it, you know?
Yeah, that was gone so quick. I went to re-look at it and it was already marked as sold. I was just point guard assisting you, dog, and you just hit. It was like a alley-oop how quick it was. It wasn't even like I passed it and like you like dribbled. You just like slam dunked.
Well, I mean, I've looked at that book a few times since I've purchased it just to kind of see if like what the market looks like. And I guess I'll say I got it just under $1,000, but there's not even like copies under $2,000 right now. It's
hmm
ridiculous. It's like
I got you, dog.
double, triple.
I
You
know.
know, it's crazy. There's not too many copies. So if you find one and it's the right price, you don't want to wait on that book unless you're willing to wait like 10, 20, 30 years where it's not popular anymore.
I ain't
Um,
getting one.
but my final and favorite book of the year so far, and maybe part of it is it came from a family member or a cool shopping experience at the LCS between you and my brother, or just it being like one of the most iconic comics over the last 60 years. But I don't know, one of the most popular comic book characters, Incredible Hulk 181, first full Wolverine. I hate that it's titled as like the first full Wolverine because I really feel like 180 is the book. However, I don't know. 181 is just kind of like the book to get as even a
The market has
non-collector.
decided,
The market's decided that that's like one of the coolest books in all of comics.
and
If
it
you
is.
can't go back to 1938, like then that's one of the books to get.
I got the 180. You got the 181. Together we have almost a set.
Let's merge our collections.
That'd be nuts.
It created
Yeah,
an
you.
earthquake in Michigan.
Yeah, it'd be pretty nuts.
House
But
just
you,
starts shaking.
Lord knows I don't need that. But yeah, you have really good strong pickups so far this year. I've got a few books on my radar I want to add to this, but I'll just go through. They're not numbered like Joe's, just a heads up. So I'm just gonna kind of scroll through what I have bought this year and kind of go through like probably the highlights. Journey into Mystery 84. It's the second appearance of Thor, first appearance of Jane Foster. I mean, enough said. We're usually not in the second appearance gang, but depending on the character, I could be open to it. The fact that it doubles as the first appearance of one of his main supporting characters, a love interest, and then a eventual Thor herself. Great book. I mean, essential to the Thor mythos. We've got Amazing Spider-Man 16. Iconic, cool crossover cover. Early appearance of Daredevil, also in the yellow costume. I've been trying to get the first 20 issues of Spider-Man. Obviously, 1 and 2 are going to be mighty difficult. I only need 17 left. And the reason I only need 17 left is because I've already knocked off issue 16 this year. Very cool book, great cover. Another reason it's going to be easier to get 3 through 20 is my biggest book of the year, my de facto number one, my probably best book in the collection, Amazing Spider-Man 14, first appearance of the Green Goblin. What do I need to tell you? Norman Osborn has waves, played by Willem Dafoe. He's arguably the coolest villain of Spider-Man's. Doc Ock's like a close two, but I mean, come on, it's the Green Gobby. He crosses over with the Hulk. Great cover. Awesome book. By far my best book. And it's pretty clean for where I got it. And I forgot to mention too, the Thor has a little bit of chipping on the bottom right corner missing, but is otherwise pretty clean for how old it is. So I've got some decent shape books here. And then like Joe, when he went and got his Rip Hunter, I went back. We made an agreement that I'm going to spend even more money than I didn't want to get Showcase Presents 30. It's a Silver Age Aquaman tryout. So if you know about Adventure 229, Adventure Comics 229, it's also considered one of the first Silver Age appearances of Aquaman. It's kind of got a lot of them in that range. This is one of the bigger ones, though. It's also the first time he holds his own solo book of just his stories. So it is a big first step for Aquaman. Cool cover. I love those yellow covers, to be honest with you. Something about him's pretty sick. So glad to have gotten that. And then we've got another Aquaman book, Adventure Comics 260, which others would say is the first Silver Age origin of Aquaman. It's also the first appearance of Queen Atlanta, his mom. First time he's Arthur Oren Curry. So a lot of like the modern Aquaman that we know today kind of came from this book. And then also that I've been on a Smallville kick. We just finished it today, by the way. Getting stuff that takes place in Smallville with Superboy is kind of cool because I like to conflate the two. So very cool to have been able to grab that. And then when we went to a small con before we went to our fantasy baseball draft, I was able to pick up a Spider-Man issue 18, first appearance of Ned Leeds. Like I said, I'm trying to get 3 through 20. So because I've got 14, 16, and 18 this year, I only have 17 left to get. Second appearance of Green Goblin. So, I mean, the book I got is pretty clean too. I paid a little bit more than I wanted to, but it was the book I wanted at that show. And it's a 5.5 slab that I obviously cracked because I'm a raw dog, but sick book, pretty nice. And then I've got this one may not make the list depending on how many things I get, but I do really like this book. It speaks to me. Challengers of the Unknown 3. It's early, it's cool, and it's like a Fantastic Four prototype book. Typically don't care about those either, but this book does hold its weight if you decide to look up like what they sell for. It's a surprisingly pretty expensive book that I got for a hell of a deal. They tried to give me a better deal and said they couldn't because they without saying it was already underpriced. But great book, cool. And my last book before we wrap up the show, well, FF Annual 6, I got for a steal. First Annihilus versus Franklin Richards. He is going to be in the movie. I don't know if it makes the list. It probably will because it is pretty dang clean. And then my other most recent big book that's low grade, though, World's Finest Comic 71. It's like the origin of Batman and Superman revealing their origins to each other. It's a part 2 of that, to be honest, from Superman 76. But it's also the first 10-cent issue of World's Finest Comics, and it's the first time they start actually teaming up together in the books because they've shared the covers together for a while, but they were always in separate stories. From this point onward, they actually start teaming up as the World's Finest in all the issues. So it's a cool piece of comic history. It's not going to like blow your socks off per se in terms of significance, but the market does view it that way. Pretty big book, especially for what I got it for. So yeah, we're kind of all over the place on my collecting goals this year. Started out really strong on like what I was going to do, but then just kind of found stuff I liked. So there you go. I'm sure we'll have plenty more to talk about by year's end.
Facts. And shout out Giant Size X-Men. Well, I'm thinking about it. That cover's sick. But I wanted to ask you a question before I wrap up. Kind of puts you on
Yeah,
the spot, but something I kind of alluded to the other day when we were on FaceTime.
I already forgot.
Favorite Smallville episode, now that
Oh
you're all
man,
finished.
you're gonna make me think. I mean, there's a bunch of them. I guess I do like the one where I can't remember what season it was, but it's where he like reveals his secret to Lana. She accepts him, and they go to get married when Pa wins the governorship or the Senate spot for the local government.
Yep, I know what you're talking about.
And then just the fact that he reveals his secret to Lex by speeding past him to see Lana like dead. And then he goes back in time, and that's what causes Dad to have the heart attack. That shit was crazy. But I mean, there's so many other good ones. I don't think it was the best episode, but I do remember nerding out a little bit during the Justice Society one, like the first time when Dr. Fate stopped being like a crackhead and he like bossed up into his suit and was just kind of badass. But that's probably not one of my favorite episodes. I mean, I do like the one you're telling me about where Lex finally pushes Lionel out the window.
I don't remember. Is that also the same episode where like Lana goes to that ball with Lex and the All American Rejects are there?
It might be.
And Lois goes with Green Arrow.
So it might have been.
Yeah, I think that might be
Oh
the
man.
same episode where Lex pushes his dad off that screen. I could be wrong,
Sure.
but that episode
It was around that time at least.
yeah, hard.
Yeah, that shit's crazy. That was a great show. I liked the end too, where he was in the suit for the little bit. He just
Yeah,
bossed up.
yeah. He finally put on the suit at the very end.
Started flying.
Yeah, flew for the first time.
Yeah, that was sick. Tom
Yeah.
Welling almost got me emotional, dog. Been with him for this whole journey.
Which will make the Superman movie really, really good, I think.
Jazz is ready for it. She's really ready. I'm ready. You're ready. I'm ready. I mean,
we're all
I
ready.
I saw some guy on Insta like crapping on it, and he gave it an F minus, and he just started writing about all this malarkey. And it's like, bro, you haven't seen it yet, and it's just like all the rest of us over here are like, this might be good. I mean, obviously, I won't speak for everybody. There's a large contingent of people overseas that love Snyder movies that make it known that James Gunn is the devil. So there's a lot of detractors already, but I am optimistic. Final question. What do you think will make more money, Superman or Fantastic Four at theaters?
Superman.
I'm with you. I
Superman.
think Superman's going to do better.
So this is just me spitballing, but here's the reason why I think, and this is really stupid. It's kind of like with fantasy sports where you kind of look at the Vegas numbers to kind of get an idea of like how people are actually going to perform. So like on Fandango, you can pre-order Fantastic Four tickets right now. It comes out like a week or two after Superman. You can't buy Superman tickets right now. So I want to say that like they're kind of really gearing up for it. But also, I mean, there's been so many Marvel movies, and this is probably one of the ones that is most anticipated, but we kind of know what to expect from the MCU. This is rebooting the whole DCU. So if this movie doesn't take off, like the DCU doesn't take off. So I think there's a lot riding on this. And last but not least, I don't care what Marvel character, you could even say Spider-Man. There's not a better character in comics than Superman. So even if you're pro Marvel, I mean, like this is the character to go see a movie for, even if you're not into comic books. It kind of reminds me of like a James Bond or like a Top Gun
Coca-Cola,
or like any other
the
kind of
Dallas
like
Cowboys,
yeah, Dallas Cowboys, like
smoking a cigarette,
uh, um,
Coca-Cola.
Americana,
Yeah,
like Superman is the guy. So, despite if you like Batman better, whatever the case is, I feel like there hasn't been like a definitive Superman movie since Christopher Reeve, and that was quite a bit of time ago. So, this is their chance.
facts. Cosign. We're pumped to see it. Time to let you go. CBJ Pod on Instagram, CBJ Podcast on Facebook, Comic Book Junkies Podcast everywhere. We're on YouTube. We're on everything you're listening to now, however you're doing that. Rate, review, subscribe. Tell people why it's cool. Tell people in person it's cool. Blow up your comic book shop with like phone calls telling them to listen. I don't care. We appreciate you listening though. So that's good enough for us. But like we said, that stuff does help us. And that's all. I don't know when we'll be recording next because, like I said, we'll both be up to no good, started making trouble in the neighborhood. But maybe we'll link up again on a Friday and we'll just do this for a third time in a row and it'll be fun.
It always is, but we deserve vacation. But
Let them know.
but we won't miss a drop for
No,
you guys because we love you.
facts. Bye.
Bye and good night.